Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another video. So today I'm going to be talking about cutting. So I'm going to be talking about my top tips for cutting and also my own experience and where I'm at during my cutting journey at this point in time. So before we get into the video guys, please be sure to subscribe and make sure to give this video a like. It really helps out my channel. So here's how I'm going to structure today's video. I'm going to start with an intro. I'm going to explain what it means to be cutting, and then I'm going to give you guys some tips on moving more and then some tips on like dieting, so how to eat less calories. I'll also be giving just general tips with staying accountable, and then I'm going to finish off with a physique update. So I'm going to show you guys what I'm looking like right now and my current plan, like what I'm doing personally to try and reach my goals. Basically, cutting, what does it mean to cut? It means that you're trying to reduce the amount of body fat that you have. So to do that, law of thermodynamics, you need to be in a calorie deficit in order to do this. Just like, by the way, disclaimer, I'm not like a doctor or whatever, like I'm just a certified personal trainer, so I know what I'm talking about when it comes to changing your body composition. So calorie deficit just basically means that you are burning more calories than you consume every day. So as humans, like, we like use calories in order to live, in order to function. So every one of us like has a different amount of calories you burn every day. It's hard to calculate the exact number of calories you're burning, but if you see the weight on the scale go down, it means you're obviously in a deficit. If your weight is being maintained, then you know that you're eating at your maintenance calories, and if your weight's going up, means that you are in a surplus. So basically, to cut, you need to be in a calorie deficit. Now, how can you create a calorie deficit? There are two main ways. The first way is to burn more calories by moving more, and the second way is to eat less calories. And you can do either one or the other, or you can do a combination of both, which is what I'm doing, and I think it's the most effective way to see results, to combine moving a bit more and then eating a bit less food. So let's get started on tips on how to move more. First things first, you need to be tracking things. You need to be tracking how many steps you take every day and track the cardio sessions that you are doing. You want to be in control of as many variables as possible here. So if you have an iPhone, I know that on the health app you can see how many steps you take every day, which is why I always move around with my phone in my hand to make sure I like track all my steps. Or if you have like a Fitbit or an Apple Watch, it does that for you as well. Steps, super important. And then if you do any like sort of cardio, just log it somewhere. Like I make sure I do my 3 cardio sessions every single week, whether it's a bike ride or a run, and I log that and just make sure that I do those every week. So tracking is the first tip I can give you. Second tip I can give you is to try and break up your steps. So let's say you have a very high step target of like more than 10,000 steps a day. Break it up. Do half in the morning, half in the evening. I would suggest like doing some first thing in the morning. That way it's just done and you don't have to think about it later. So wake up, have your water, have your coffee, and then just like go outside and go on a walk. I know that right now the situation is pretty tough, but if you are allowed to go outside and go on a walk, then take advantage of that and go outside and get those steps in first thing in the morning. Now the next tip that I'm going to give you guys has to do with like accountability on taking your steps, on doing your steps. So I would suggest scheduling a call with a friend when you're supposed to do your steps. Let's say I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go on a walk at 9 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. And then let's say like, I'm gonna message a friend today and be like, hey, like let's catch up tomorrow at 9, I'll call you. That way tomorrow at 9, you're like, oh, I have this meeting with this friend, might as well just go do my steps at the same time. It really helps pass the time when you're on the phone to a friend doing your steps. I have so many friends around the world right now, and I'm catching up with them whenever I go on walks, and it is really nice. If you don't have any friends, I mean, like, understandably, I don't have that many friends either. Listen to a podcast or listen to some music. One of my favorite podcasts has been recommended to me by my friend Chen Yang, and it's called The Mindset Mentor on Spotify. I know that he's on a few other platforms as well, but I use Spotify, and it's a very, very great motivational podcast. I definitely recommend you guys listen to. And those are my tips on how to move more. And then like in a non-lockdown situation, say you're someone that takes public transport frequently, try and get off a stop earlier, whether you take the bus or the train or the tube or whatever, and just try and walk more. It really does help. And I would also recommend scheduling like a reminder every couple hours to just stand up and walk around a little bit, and that will definitely help you get your movement up. My last tip on moving more is to not confuse moving more with moving more intensely. I know a lot of people praise high intensity interval training, but number one, these people don't really do HIIT right? High intensity interval training, you are going all out. Like you're going max heart rate for like 30 seconds and then you rest for 30 seconds. Most people don't really go hard enough when they do HIIT anyway, so it doesn't really burn that many calories. That's number one. Number two, when you do HIIT, like you are putting an immense amount of pressure on your body. It is like really taxing on your body. I wouldn't recommend doing it more than once a week. So the bulk of your movement needs to be low intensity, steady state cardio. So I would recommend walking, incline walking, cycling. If you have access to a pool, swimming is great as well. Don't mistake high intensity for high calorie burning. Just because you do something high intensity for 15 minutes doesn't mean it's going to burn more calories than if you go on an hour-long walk. Now, how to eat less. My biggest tip, and this is quite general, is just to eat more low-calorie foods and foods that are high in volume. What this means is that the food that you're gonna try and eat the most of is gonna be something that takes up a lot of space in your stomach. So something that's like really big in volume but doesn't have that many calories in it. Fruits and vegetables are your best friends here because you can have loads of them. However, a mistake that a lot of people make is not tracking vegetables. Guys, vegetables have calories. Even though they don't have that many, you need to be tracking them. Weigh your vegetables and track your vegetables. Speaking of tracking, if you're not tracking your calories, track them. And that's how you know whether or not you're eating less, whether or not you are eating in a calorie deficit. Related to these low-calorie foods, I have a lot of like diet hacks. So my first one would be to use stevia instead of like sugar. Stevia is a natural sweetener. It comes from a plant and you can buy it at like any store basically, and you can put it in everything. If you have a sweet tooth like me, it can help you save a lot of calories. I like putting my stevia in my oats, in my coffee. Sometimes I bake like macro-friendly desserts and I use stevia in there as well. I also like to drink diet soda, so like Diet Coke or like I know Sprite, they have like a 0-calorie version as well. Even Dr. Pepper and Fanta have their own 0-calorie version, so I definitely recommend checking those out. And then another great hack that I've discovered when I moved to the UK actually are like these jelly pots that have like 3 to 4 calories in them, which are amazing. I know some people don't like them, but if you like sweet things, I freaking love these. They're like between 50 and 70p depending on where you buy them, and they are awesome. I definitely recommend trying these out. If you're someone that likes to snack on crisps or you want something a bit salty, if you don't have as much of a sweet tooth as I do, popcorn is your best friend. Guys, you can have so much popcorn for very few calories, especially compared to like what you could have in crisps. Like a small pack of crisps will have like 200 calories in it, and then a small bag of popcorn will have like 80 calories in it. It is insane. Make sure you just get like the low oil version or the version that doesn't have any butter in it, and then add some salt or some spices to it, and you are sorted for a low calorie snack. When it comes to macronutrients, getting enough protein is going to be important when dieting in order to preserve your muscle mass and to avoid losing muscle. But also the thermic effect of protein, meaning the amount of calories that you burn by digesting protein, is a lot higher than the thermic effect of carbs or fats. So if you eat a high protein diet, you're going to burn more calories digesting that protein. That's one thing. Another thing is protein does help with satiety, so it means you're going to stay fuller for longer by eating protein. Another tip that I have for you to try and eat less calories is to make sure your hormones are in check. And how to make sure your hormones are in check? You gotta sleep enough. When you sleep enough, your ghrelin levels, which are like your hunger hormones, are going to be low. Leptin levels, satiety hormones, will stay nice and high. You won't feel as hungry. If you're sleep deprived, ghrelin will go up really quickly. You're going to feel super hungry. Leptin will go down, so you won't feel as satiated. So make sure you're getting enough sleep. It is super important. And lastly, I'd recommend drinking a lot of water. Why? Well, one, you want to stay hydrated. It's good for you, it's good for your muscles, it's good for your health. Number two, it also helps with you feeling full. So drink up that water. I would recommend at least 1 liter per gram of sodium that you are having every single day. So those are my tips on how to reduce your caloric intake. So if you combine moving more and eating less, you will definitely be in a calorie deficit and you will start burning fat. Now, just some general tips on like accountability, how to stick to your diet, how to make sure you are on track. Number one is probably like have a plan. If you don't plan, you are probably going to fail. What I like to do for food especially is like on MyFitnessPal, I will plan my meals in advance on MyFitnessPal to make sure what I'm eating is going to fit my macronutrient targets. That way I know exactly what I'm eating and I meal prep in advance. It's just in my fridge and it's there and I don't have to think twice about it. So don't just like go by your day and track like as the day goes by. No, you want to track at least 1 or 2 days before, and that way you know exactly what you're going to be eating on that day. Another tip I have is to make like a sort of spreadsheet for yourself. I love Excel, I love spreadsheets. So I made myself like kind of the same thing I use with my clients, really, is like a tracker. So I'm gonna track my weight every week. I weigh myself every morning, empty stomach. And what I do is every week I take the average of my weight. That way I can track whether or not my weight is going up or down week by week. The reason I do averages is because, especially as a girl, your weight is going to fluctuate so much. So like you're going to have 1 to 2 kilo range even, especially during your time of the month where like your weight just fluctuates so much. So I recommend doing an average of your weight every week. I also am going to be taking progress photos. So I recommend doing progress photos 1 to twice a week, just because that way you can visually assess how you're looking and how you're progressing. That way when you see the weight on the scale, it doesn't really like mess with your head. So I definitely recommend doing measurements and progress photos as well. Also going to be tracking my workouts, so like the weights that I use, things like that, to make sure I'm staying accountable. Another way you can do this is by doing it with a friend. So if you have another friend that wants to get in shape, keep each other accountable, like text each other when you're working out, text each other photos of your meals, things like that. That's a great way to stay accountable. Now I'm gonna move on to what I'm doing right now for my cut. I have been cutting since the 10th of February and today is May the 4th. So I've been cutting for like a while now and it's gone pretty well. I've lost like between 4 and 5 kilos. My weight fluctuates a lot, so yeah. I've kind of like hit a rock these past couple of weeks, just because, I mean, I haven't like gained fat or weight. It's more just like I've kind of fallen off the wagon, not feeling as motivated, and I've just been like kind of maintaining. So I'm gonna treat it as like a diet break basically. But I have a photo shoot in 6 weeks from today and I want to get shredded. Like I want to look fucking good for this photo shoot. So today I'm like, okay, you know, let's just do it. 6 weeks, we're gonna go all in. You know, I'm gonna be good with my diet, good with my training, and I'm documenting it on YouTube and on Instagram to help keep myself accountable. So I'm just gonna insert a clip of my physique right now. I am pretty happy with where my physique is. I want to bring out my shoulders a lot more, so I'm gonna be training my shoulders at least twice a week. I'm very happy with how my glutes are looking as well. I'm just gonna try and maintain the muscle in my legs. I'm training my lower body 3 times a week and my upper body just twice a week. I want to lose another 2 or 3 kilos. Right now, my average weight is between 58 and 59 kilos. I do want to hit like 56 for this photo shoot, which is very, very low. I really want to dig deep and grind and just hit that low weigh-in for my photo shoot. I'm not cutting carbs or anything right now. Like my carbs are moderate, my protein is high, and my fat is pretty low. I'm just like, you know, doing this because it works for me. I am also vegan. I've been vegan for 6 years. I do it for ethical reasons, not for like, you know, dieting or whatever. So yeah, that's what I'm currently doing. My steps are averaging out at about 14 to 15,000 steps a day. And I'm doing 2 to 3 cardio sessions a week that are between 30 and 45 minutes long. So my cardio is either gonna be going on a run or a jog, or I go on bike rides as well. I don't really like doing HIIT cardio. I like going outside and doing my cardio outside. So that's what I've been doing. I'm very lucky and fortunate that I have weights here at home, so I can still apply progressive overload and like just lift weights. So those are all my tips, guys, and that's where I'm at right now as well. I will be documenting my journey here on YouTube and on Instagram, and I'm going to be posting loads of recipes that are really good to use if you're cutting. So please be sure to stay tuned for that. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell button as well so you're notified whenever I upload a new video. Please leave a comment down below on what kind of videos you'd like to see next, or if you're cutting right now, what your experience is like, or if you have any tips you'd like to share with everyone. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!